Game of Thrones females actresses, real age versus character. Age 2026. Surprising differences. Do you remember the fierce mother of dragons commanding her empire? Or the young Stark assassin crossing names off her list? While these iconic figures felt like they grew up right before our eyes, the real-world gap between the actresses and their characters is truly mind-blowing. In 2026, as we look back at the legendary cast, some age differences are far more surprising than a plot twist at the Red Wedding. Let's dive into the real age versus character age of the women who ruled the Seven Kingdoms. Some transformations were carefully written. Arya Stark's wasn't. Her story unfolded in real time, blurring the line between the girl on screen and the woman growing up behind it. 1. Arya Stark. Arya Stark entered Game of Thrones as a child, and so did Maisie Williams. That parallel defined one of the most organic evolutions in the series. Viewers watched Arya learn violence, loss, and independence, while Maisie grew up in real time under global attention. Away from Westeros, she explored acting, fashion, and creative activism, refusing to be boxed into a single image. Her long relationship with fashion entrepreneur Ruben Selby ended in 2023, marking another personal turning point. There were no major scandals, only experimentation and self-discovery. Arya's story was about survival without permission. Maisie's post-series path reflects the same instinct, choosing direction over expectation, even when the spotlight never fades. 2. Marguerite Tyrell. Natalie Dormer brought Marguerite Tyrell to life with a composure that quietly betrayed the character's written age. Though Marguerite was scripted as a young political bride, Natalie's performance added layers of calculation and control that made her feel timeless. After leaving the series, she avoided dramatic pivots, instead building a steady career across film, television, and theater. Her personal life followed a similar rhythm. A long-term relationship with actor David Oakes and the birth of their child in 2021 shifted her priorities without pulling her away from work. Marguerite burned brightly and briefly in the Game of Power. Natalie, by contrast, chose longevity, proving that survival off-screen doesn't require spectacle. 3. Brienne of Tarth. Gwendolyn Christie stepped into Game of Thrones in 2012, carrying a striking contrast. At 34, she portrayed Brienne of Tarth, a warrior written barely past her youth, defined more by honor than femininity. That physical and emotional presence reshaped how audiences viewed strength on television. As the series ended, her career moved boldly forward, from Star Wars to The Sandman, while fashion houses embraced her as an icon of unconventional beauty. Away from cameras, she has shared a long-term relationship with designer Giles Deacon since 2013, free from scandal and spectacle. Brienne fought for respect in Westeros. Gwendolyn earned it in the real world, on her own terms. 4. Daenerys Targaryen. Emilia Clarke arrived in Game of Thrones as Daenerys Targaryen when her career was still unformed, yet the role demanded absolute control from day one. On screen, Daenerys began as a teenage exile sold into marriage. Off-screen, Emilia was already carrying the weight of a future franchise icon. As the character rose to power, her career expanded rapidly, with leading roles in Me Before You, Last Christmas, and later Marvel's Secret Invasion. Despite global fame, she kept her romantic life mostly private, once linked to director Charlie McDowell. What few knew during filming was her fight with 2 brain aneurysms. Looking back, Daenerys' endurance feels less fictional and more like a reflection of the woman behind her. 5. Cersei Lannister as Lena Headey. When Lena Headey took on Cersei Lannister, she wasn't introduced as a rising star, but as an actress with experience and presence. That maturity shaped Cersei into something more dangerous than the script alone suggested. While the Queen projected ruthless control, Lena's real life moved through visible transitions. A divorce in 2013, motherhood with director Dan Caden, and a later remarriage to actor Mark Menchaca unfolded under public attention. Professionally, she balanced prestige and genre, moving from 300 to Gunpowder Milkshake without losing momentum. Cersei ruled through fear, but Lena's longevity came from resilience. Age never weakened her screen power. Instead, it sharpened one of television's most unforgettable villains. 6. Ygritte. Rose Leslie's entrance as Ygritte blurred fiction and reality almost immediately. At 25, she portrayed a fierce wildling, written younger, fearless, and emotionally raw. The chemistry with Kit Harington escaped the script and followed them into real life. Marriage came in 2018, followed by 2 children, turning one of television's most tragic romances into a lasting partnership. Beyond Westeros, Rose continued acting while choosing balance over excess visibility. There were no scandals, only growth. Ygritte burned briefly and brightly. Rose, by contrast, carried that fire forward, tempered by stability, family, and a life that outlasted the battlefield. 7. Sansa Stark. Sophie Turner's introduction as Sansa Stark placed her at the center of cruelty long before adulthood. On-screen, Sansa endured manipulation and humiliation. Off-screen, Sophie faced a different kind of pressure. Growing up while the world watched, fame intensified when she married musician Joe Jonas, became a mother of two, and later navigated a highly publicized separation. Throughout it all, she continued acting, refusing to let personal headlines define her career. The transformation feels almost symbolic. Sansa learned strength through survival, and Sophie learned it through exposure. Neither emerged unchanged. Time didn't simply age her. It reshaped her public identity, turning a teenage role into a lifelong reference point she continues to evolve beyond. 8. Missandei. Natalie Emmanuel joined the series in 2013 at 24, portraying Missandei as a calm teenage advisor, defined by loyalty rather than power. That quiet presence made her stand out. As the show progressed, so did Natalie's career, moving steadily into Hollywood with the Fast and Furious franchise and Army of Thieves. Unlike many peers, she kept her private life largely out of reach, despite brief links to actor Alex Lanipakun. No scandals followed her rise. Missandei's strength was silence and dignity. Natalie mirrored that approach, letting consistency, not controversy, shape her evolution beyond Westeros. 9. Melisandre. Carice Van Houten joined Game of Thrones in 2012 with a character built on illusion. Melisandre appeared young, yet concealed centuries beneath her skin. Off-screen, Carice's life unfolded far more transparently. She balanced a demanding career with motherhood, welcoming her son in 2016 during a relationship with actor Guy Pearce. Though they later separated, she continued forward without public conflict. As the actress aged naturally, the irony deepened. Melisandre's power faded with truth, while Carice's presence strengthened with honesty. Few roles played so directly with time. Even fewer actresses emerged from it with such quiet authority. 10. Olenna Tyrell. When Diana Rigg appeared as Olenna Tyrell in 2013, she brought more than sharp dialogue. She brought history. At 74, she matched the character's age, yet eclipsed everyone on screen with wit alone. Long before Westeros, she was already a legend, from the Avengers to James Bond. Her personal life carried its own chapters. A marriage to producer Archibald Sterling, a later divorce, and a daughter actress Rachel Sterling. Diana passed away in 2020, but by 2026, her presence still defines the standard of power without force. Olenna spoke softly and struck deeply. Diana did the same, leaving a legacy untouched by time or trend. 11. Ellaria Sand. Indira Varma arrived in 2014 as Ellaria Sand, bringing fire to a character driven by love and vengeance. At 41, her age exceeded the role on paper, but added emotional weight instead of distance. Off-screen, Indira's life remained remarkably stable. Married to actor Colin Tierney since the mid-1990s, she balanced a long career with motherhood and privacy. While Ellaria's choices led to destruction, Indira's path unfolded calmly, with roles in Luther and Obi-Wan Kenobi. The contrast is striking. One woman burned from grief, the other endured through balance, discipline, and time. 12. Gemma Whelan as Yara Greyjoy. Gemma Whelan first appeared as Yara Greyjoy in 2012, projecting toughness far beyond her written age. At 30, she embodied authority without exaggeration. Outside the Iron Islands, Gemma's world looked far gentler. She built a steady career across television and theater, while embracing family life. Married to comedian Jerry Howell, she became a mother and often spoke about the joy of domestic calm. No scandals followed her name. Yara fought for survival through force. Gemma found hers through humor, stability, and creative balance. Proving strength doesn't always need armor to be convincing. 13. Gilly. Hannah Murray joined the show in 2012 at 22, playing Gilly, a frightened teenager shaped by trauma and survival. Over time, Gilly's gentleness became a form of resilience. Off-screen, Hannah's life echoed that transformation. She dated musician Johnny Lloyd, and in 2020, welcomed her first child, embracing motherhood while continuing her artistic work. Never drawn into scandal, she kept her life intentionally low profile. As the years passed, Gilly's arc from victim to survivor mirrored Hannah's own journey toward stability, proving that quiet characters can leave the most lasting emotional impressions. 14. Mira Reed. Ellie Kendrick stepped into Game of Thrones in 2013 at just 20, portraying Mira Reed as a young woman defined by loyalty rather than ambition. Their ages aligned closely, which made Mira's quiet strength feel authentic. After leaving the series, Ellie chose a less visible but deliberate path. She continued acting while shifting toward writing in British theater, earning respect as a playwright. Her private life remains carefully guarded, with no public relationships or scandals. Mira disappeared from Westeros without ceremony. Ellie, meanwhile, evolved quietly, trading screen time for creative control behind the scenes. 15. Nymeria Sand. Jessica Henwick arrived in 2015 at 22, bringing lethal precision to Nymeria Sand, a character written close to her age but fueled by rage. Her time in Westeros was brief, yet physically unforgettable. After Game of Thrones, Jessica's career accelerated sharply. She moved into Hollywood action roles, from Iron Fist to The Matrix Resurrections, redefining herself as a modern screen warrior. Her personal life stayed largely private, with only occasional rumors and no public controversy. Nymeria burned fast and vanished. Jessica did the opposite, building momentum long after the flames died out. 15. Nymeria Sand. Hannah Waddingham entered Game of Thrones in 2015 with a role that barely spoke, yet echoed loudly. At 41, she portrayed Septa Unella, a stern figure written close to her real age, remembered forever for a single word: shame. The role was brief but unforgettable. Away from Westeros, Hannah's life unfolded very differently. She became a mother, raising a daughter from a past relationship with hotelier Gianluca Cugneto. What followed surprised everyone. By 2025, she had transformed into an Emmy-winning global star through Ted Lasso. One role confined her, another set her free. 17. Roz. Esme Bianco appeared in 2011 as Roz, a courtesan whose storyline exposed the cost of power from the margins. At 29, her age closely matched the character's lived vulnerability. After leaving the show, Esme's life took a different turn. She became outspoken about abuse within the industry, choosing advocacy over silence. By 2025, her acting career shared space with activism, while her personal relationships remained private. Roz had little control over her fate. Esme reclaimed hers. In hindsight, the smallest role carried one of the most powerful real-world transformations to emerge from the series. 18. Catelyn Stark. Michelle Fairley entered the series already seasoned, portraying Catelyn Stark at an age closely aligned with the character herself. That authenticity grounded one of the show's most emotionally complex roles. While Catelyn lived for her children and paid dearly for loyalty, Michelle chose a different path off-screen. Never married and without children, she devoted herself entirely to craft, continuing strong performances in Suits and The White Princess. Her life has remained notably private, untouched by scandal or tabloid drama. As the years passed, age became an asset rather than a limitation. Catelyn's story ended in tragedy, but Michelle's quiet consistency turned her into one of the most respected presences to emerge from the series. Time forgets no one, and even the most powerful icons of Westeros are no exception to the laws of nature. Yet looking at these staggering age gaps, one truth emerges. Numbers are merely a shell, but the courage to evolve is what makes them immortal. They didn't just age, they transitioned from fated roles into women who master their own game. In this race against time, who do you believe truly owns the title of ageless beauty?